Spot on. So, welcome to another edition of training. And I want to talk about farming. So, the first question that I actually have is how many of us have a farm that we are currently working? We're currently cultivating on a regular monthly basis. Raise your hand, put in the chat that you are actually working or cultivating a farm. Okay? So what that means is that I can stop by Aaron's and I can pick up some avocados and maybe some corn. And what else do you grow over there?
Wait, what are you talking about? Grow where? Like at my community?
In your farm, we're talking about farming, right? Everybody get me with the farm,
Yeah.
you
The joke. I got the joke now. I completely missed it. It blew past me. Now I'm caught up.
Excellent. So when we're talking about farm, though, we're talking about us in our real estate business. And a farm is a community that we engage on minimum a monthly basis, giving them information about real estate, about what's going on in the market, how we can serve them, how we can serve the community. So my question to you is, we've got Aaron here. Aaron, for your farm, there's Felipe. What are you growing on your farm, Felipe?
Where am I growing my farm?
What are you growing on your farm?
Well, oh, no, none of that.
Right on. So with that being said, Aaron, talk to me a little bit about your farm. How long have you had it, and how many homes are in that farm? Give him a second. He's frozen, maybe. I think Aaron might be frozen, so I can't hear him anymore. I know he's got a farm because he's the one that raised his hand that he had a farm, and then he just lost his picture, so that's okay.
Are you on the Wi-Fi?
I am. Yeah, we're on Wi-Fi. We're good. So, David, you're here. I know you do a lot of door knocking. Do you do a specific farm? Do you go after that continually, or do you just go to an area and then you maybe just move back?
I do door knocking on all the apartments and condos in Temecula.
Okay.
Once a year passes, a lot of the tenants will be moving out and new ones will be moving in.
Mm-hmm.
In some cases, most cases. So then I will go back after 1 year and I will hit all those apartments and all those condos again.
Mm-hmm.
And in some cases, I will meet back the same people every once in a while. So I guess you could consider that an ongoing farm, that I do. So I just go back every year, to those same places. Right. And find a lot of new people that have moved in, that have moved out, those kind of things. Mm-hmm. Especially in the condos, you have some of the same owners that are already in there. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what the farm that I do.
Right on. So as we see here, David has the farm that he works. He's moving the condos and the apartments here in Temecula, you said specifically, is where he works. Anyone else have a farm that maybe just logged in recently? I see Maria Speed is here. I see Nara's here. Who just raised their hand? Melissa, talk to me a little bit about your farm, Melissa.
Hi, my farm is my neighborhood, and there's about 200 houses in my neighborhood. So I haven't been as consistent as I am going to be now, but
yeah.
Inconsistently for 4 years. Now with this upcoming canned food drive, I'm going to go around and hand out my flyers. And so I'm going to be more diligent about consistency within my farm now. Yeah.
Awesome. So you've got about 200, you said, in your farm. And Maria, I just see you jumped on. Do you have a farm, Maria? Tell me a little bit about, or tell us a little bit about your farm, how long you've been farming it, how many homes you have there.
I have been farming my neighborhood. Unfortunately, I probably should have done a lot more long ago, but I just got started this year. with like the Corfact monthly mailers. But I am trying to be a little more diligent at being like available and saying hi to the neighbors, taking walks, that kind of stuff. But I think this is the 7th month that they've gotten a mailer. So I am intending on doing the canned food drive and the blanket drive. So I am, going to start doing that. So I'm pretty raw at that, even though I've lived in my neighborhood for 26 years. And I think our neighborhood is about 350.
Mhm.
So that's my numbers and
Mhm.
kind of new. I don't know why I didn't do it sooner. Should have, would have, could have.
Go ahead, Felipe.
I wanted to add real quick, and I think we're gonna get.
Here, let me jump over here. So I just wanted to add to that real quick, you guys. I was talking to Melissa yesterday. Hi, Melissa. And now that Maria mentioned Corfact, anytime you do mailers, my opinion is the first one's always going to be, I got a mailer, trash.
Mhm.
The second month's going to be trash. The third month's going to be, I see this person all the time. So consistency is important when you're doing a market plan, right? You have to have the brand or the image has to be the same, because the more that they see that consistency coming through, that's how you build or engage that audience. Don't get discouraged if you send out 3 months of mailers and nothing happens, right? Maria said it's been 6 months. The first one went right in the trash. The second one, okay, kind of put a face to a name, trash. The third time, I see this person and it's the same, it's the tall gal, it's it's the tree behind Melissa's photo and her sign. Like whatever your image is, it has to be consistent, okay? And you got to do consistent, or you have to mail out those flyers or whatever you're doing consistently in the same market so that you can build that brand, that image of yourself. So that's the most important part of that, right?
Absolutely.
In my opinion.
Consistency is going to be the key to anything that we do in regard. I mean, David, you found success in door knocking because you consistently door knock, right?
Right.
It's not once a month, right?
No, it's 2 hours a day, 5 days a week.
2 hours a day, 5 days a week, consistently. And so this is how he's continuing to grow your business, correct?
Correct.
And so if I have a farm and I'm looking to work that farm, again, you want to touch that farm at a minimum of once a month with something of value. So I want to talk to you a little bit about value, all right? We as agents, when we go out and maybe you're in your own community, how many of us get maybe flyers, just sold, just listed from other agents to our homes?
Consistent in my neighborhood. I don't know why. My neighborhood is not consistent with flyers at all.
Mhm.
I get Val Ives
I don't.
consistently all the time.
Val-
Val Ives, I even know by name.
Yeah.
Comes to my house all the time, so I think she services the Red Hawk area.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So Val Eyes is going over to David. I'm getting Stefan, Mr. Murrieta, inconsistently, but he sends a big poster that comes out to my house. And then Justin Bringus, I think is his name. He's a pretty big agent here in the Valley. Inconsistently, though, I will get they're big postcards is what they are. But typically, again, what's on that postcard? I already mentioned what's on those postcards or on those mailers, typically.
On the ones I get comps, values of other houses in the neighborhood.
Okay, so David says he's getting comps and other values of homes in the community. Great value piece there, right? What else are we seeing that's coming to our doors? Talk to me, team. Melissa, what do you see coming to your door? Do you get anything at your door?
Yeah, I see similar to what he said, that it's like in your neighborhood, and then it kind of showed in getting.
Okay. Lost you just a little bit there. Can you guys hear me okay? Just first and foremost. Okay, because I know I was losing a little bit of what Melissa was saying there. So make sure that it's not my connection, because I want to make sure you all can hear me. But she said that she was getting similar to what I heard to what David's getting. I'll just speak to, well, maybe anyone else receiving. Let me hear from another agent who's maybe receiving something in the mail from another agent. What are you receiving? Maria Speed, do you receive anything in the mail in your community?
I get very inconsistent. I feel like recently I've been starting to get something, but it's really generic. You know, like I'm assuming mine's probably not a whole lot better, but it just seems like trash worthy.
Cash worthy. So speaking to that, I'll just to what I most recently started receiving and what really kind of propelled me to be more active in my community, my farm that I'm using, is I was getting the big postcards and it said just sold or just listed, but that's all it was saying to me. I don't see personally as a consumer value there. You're just telling me what you're doing for business, but how does that benefit me, right? And so I thought to myself, we need to be providing value to our customers, right? To those in our farm. And so something of value is going to be a letter. All right. And I want to show you what we've done here. So in your notes,
if I may interject,
go ahead.
A perfect little story that just happened to me.
Go ahead, share with us.
I've been sending out probably 1,000 mailers on a consistent, regular basis. Regular basis for just month and month and month, and I'm still doing it. I got a client that just called me up out of the blue and said, I see your flyer coming, and it's been coming constantly, and we continue to see you. And she goes, so I can tell that you're somebody who's persistent, and I felt like you're somebody that maybe could help us over somebody else. And so I said, well, is there anybody else's picture on the flyer? Is there anybody else's? And I'm trying to source it, right? Trying to source it. She goes, no, it's just you. And then she goes, I also went on Google and I found your name on Google as well. And she goes, I just felt maybe that you were the person for us because I saw your name so much. And she goes, they came in and then they got pre-qualified through San Diego County Credit Union. And it's a current client that I'm working with right now. And that was simply just through exposure. And I met these people about 2 weeks ago.
See, but that was the consistent mailers that you were sending out, which prompted the phone call to say, this is a professional. This is someone who knows the community, who I can trust to serve me. But it was the consistency. And so now David's got, a client there. What I want to show you real quick is what we started here. And this is just, so this month will be month 3. All right, that we're starting. And I'm going to tell you a little story about it. Skip past that first one there. This right here is just a letter. So you should be able to see this letter that we've created. Now, this was our letter back for June. And this was our initial, we're going to introduce ourselves to the community with this letter here. It simply just talked about what was happening in our community. I'm not going to read it. It's right there for you on the screen. It's got our information here, all of our contact information, email, address, everything's right there for them. And then with this piece behind it, there's actually a color flyer that's attached to it that gives them details about what's actually taking place in the market. And so this is the first one that I sent out. And I have a client in my community that I'm serving, and he was like, who does your marketing? Because they're doing a really awesome job. Now, I'm already working with him, so we've already had a relationship. So for him to call me was just natural. All right. So then we were like, well, that worked out pretty well. Let's continue moving forward. So again, we're providing value. So the second month that we sent out was this letter was payment versus price. So we're talking about the price of a home versus what you're paying monthly, because the important thing is actually what you're paying monthly, not necessarily the price of the home, because what can you afford monthly? And so we sent that out, and we included with it as well, just a nice little color flyer that went there with it that shared the difference in interest rates and how that changes your payment. So this was, again, value that we were sending out to the community, as opposed to I just sold or just listen. I'm going to ask Felipe, because I had notes that I left on the printer. It's got some cost there that I want to share with you. It's on the printer over there. Can you grab it? Yeah, can you grab it, please? What it costs to do something like this, because if you're going to send out monthly mailers of any kind, what is the cost associated with it? Because we have to have a budget. We're business owners. Do we agree? So let me ask this question now. I'm going to dig into a little bit of our finances. There's who have shared already. How much, David, you're here in the room, how much do you say you would spend monthly on mailers on your farm?
Well, I can tell you this, that at the Rancho California post office in Temecula, we have a bulk account over there. All you got to do is go to the bulk mail and talk to Ruth, and say, I'm a Century 21 preferred, show them your business card, and you can get the bulk postage. The bulk postage, I believe, is 31 cents instead of the fifth standard 50 cents. So it, you know, the cost, it just kind of varies, you know, it's 31 cents per, you know, per mailer. I send out probably about 800 to 1,000 a month. So do the math. But anyway, Felipe has set up, and so have I, this bulk account over at the post office. So the only requirement is you just have to send out 200 mailers at a time, and you get them at 31 cents instead of 50. So if that helps anybody, just go in, say I'm a Century 21 preferred, talk to Ruth at the Rancho California post office, 200 at a time, and you're good.
Well, that's awesome information.
No, that's great, and thank you so much for sharing that. And it's actually, you know, it's because of what I heard that David was doing is what prompted me to say, you know what, I gotta start doing these newsletters myself, right? And so yeah, to me, the Rancho post office right here, is the main office. And Felipe's putting that in the chat for you guys, so you can have that information and who you're going to talk to when you go there. So what I did was I looked at my farm, and so right now, currently, I'm sending out about 250, 260, but about 250 is the number that we're going to use, that we're sending out monthly to our farm. Your farm, I would suggest that would be no smaller than 100, and as large as you want it to be. Really, I mean, I can't put a cap on what you should do for your farm. It's going to be up to you, but no less than 100 people that you're actively contacting every single month. So if I looked at, okay, you have to put this in an envelope, right? So what's the cost for an envelope? So 250, the half of the cost of 500, that's $18. All right. So I'm going to put this color flyer in there. Now, Century 21 does not provide for us high gloss paper, right? So we want to make sure that we're providing quality for them. So I go over to Staples, and so I'll get it printed on a nice high gloss paper color flyer there. That's going to cost me $160. Okay. Now the letter that goes in there, if you do it black and white, well, then you can probably get that printed here at the office. Yes. If you do that in color, then you may want to go over to Staples and get that done. So that could cost you another $160 for those colors. That's 65 cents a page. And then of course you've got to pay postage. Now, as David has already shared with us, we can get the bulk postage. So that comes out to be, if you're just doing envelopes, flyers, you do a black and white letter that goes with it, and your postage, it's $260 a month.
For how many? 250? And
that's going to be 250, about 250 mailers that you're going to send out. So what does that cost me annually? That's going to be $3,120. Now let's think about this, because we started this 2 months ago. So I got a call a week and a half ago. My neighbor says, I got something in the mail from you. Now again, Justin Bringus is sending out his stuff sporadically when he sends it out. We've got Stefan, Mr. Murrieta, who's sending his stuff out in my community sporadically. But again, they are simply just big postcards. Yeah. So what the difference was, and this is what I was talking to my team, and I was saying, you know, I think the real difference is why we got the phone call is because we provided value. Right. And that's what you want to do as well, is provide value. She says, listen, we're getting the home had a fire. We're getting the home rehab. We're going to get it all redone in the interior, and we want to probably most likely list it and sell it or turn it into a rental. And I was like, okay, wonderful. I said, how many other agents are you calling and speaking with? I asked that question. She says, no one. So, but they're getting all the same mail, but they only called us. Same thing what happened over here with David is because he continually sending these things out, they called him because he was providing value consistently. Make sense? Mm-hmm. And again, $260. So let's think about this. What's the average home price in Murrieta, Temecula? Give me a rough number. What's our average price, agents?
Right now, $750 in Murrieta.
Felipe, right? We're right on that 700 range. Okay.
And most of that cost that you're quoting is really in the color copies.
Yes.
If they're willing to do the black and white, which is what I do, it's very minimal. It's very minimal. I would say 80% of that cost is all in the color copy.
It is like it's $160 for 100 or 250 color versus 45 black and white if you go there. But if you do here at the office and you talk to Felipe and however many you're doing, you do the black and whites again, you can save there as well.
Supply some paper because Felipe allows us to do the black and white for free as long as we bring some paper in every once in a while.
So all you're paying for now is going to be envelopes and postage.
Right.
That's it. And envelopes we know is $18 and postage is $80 rather. So just over $100. Or just under $100 monthly is what you could spend to actively engage your farm. All right, everybody, and there's a ton of pieces out there. So we've got our letters. There's newsletter pieces that are there on KV Core. You're utilizing that system as well. So dive in and utilize what's already there in your at your fingertips, I should say, growing your farm. So I want to actually ask, I'm glad that she's on the call because I see her here, so I'm going to call her out. I know that she's been farming for a long, long time. And I'm going to ask Jennifer, if you could speak to us a little bit about how long you've been farming and how many are you farming and when did you start seeing results from farming?
Hi, everyone. Let's see. I think this is probably going into my 4th year of farming the same community. It varies between 640 and 675 mailers. It changes a little bit year by year, but it's pretty much all of Greer Ranch, which is my farm. It costs me $500 a month to send out those. Right now, I think it's 647 postcards. I do the jumbo postcards. I try and put material on the postcards that are relevant. My biggest reason for doing postcards is just in prior trainings and stuff that when it's in an envelope, again, that they may not open it because they don't, if they recognize it as mail or things like that, how many of them are getting open versus how many are getting thrown away. I know that there's different tactics though on addressing envelopes and return address and things like that to make it more productive as far as people opening them. I would say in the last year to 2 years that I'm really seeing the most activity from my farm. A kind of funny thing because we haven't had open houses in so long, but I had an open house in Greer about a month ago, 6 weeks ago, and I actually had 3 different neighbors from the community come in. One of them had a postcard in his hand that he's like, I've had this postcard in my drawer probably 2 years, but I list, like, why would I list with anyone else? Like you know Greer. And so it was kind of funny. It was flattering, I guess, to have 2 or 3 people come in and say, hey, I just came to meet you in the flesh. So that was kind of funny.
No, that is awesome. Very exciting. And in your first year, for all those of us maybe new agents, I'm thinking of doing this farm, and am I going to get a phone call the first or second month? Or how long did this take? Did it for you to see?
Yeah, it took quite a while. And the other thing with my farm and the postcards is because it's done through Corfact, it only costs about 80, and I'm doing over 500. It's only about 85 cents per postcard, which obviously includes postage, and I'm not doing any of it. So there's no labor involved with that. So how many hours of printing and making and stuffing and stamping, and not really stamping if you're doing both, but all of that is cut out. I don't have to do any of that. And if with Corfact, if somebody goes on and inquires about their home's value, I get a text message and an email, and now I have that person's address and name. And so right away, then I actually do a handwritten card and I say, thank you for inquiring about your market value. You may be, just, curious, and I'd be happy to make a market analysis. Maybe you're thinking about, anyways, I have a little note that basically I write the same thing, kind of generic. And then I stick my business card in there and I stick a $5 Starbucks gift card. And that and then I keep an ongoing list of those people. So I actually had someone just go in and use my postcard for the second time. They did it back in February, and then they did it again this month. So then I wrote them another note. So I need to do more with it, but that's what I do.
So Jennifer, I have a couple questions. So since we got a lot of people on the call, one thing you just mentioned right now is that, which I love, by the way, is that you get a Corfact postcard sent out. If you get a response or a request, or somebody just does evaluation, you're now sending an actual written post or a letter to them, right? Is that what you said? A note card, so to speak. Yeah. So why did you decide to start doing a personalized note card versus, if you have their email and phone number, why not an email? Why a postcard?
I don't have their email and phone number. I could potentially, well, I shouldn't say don't. I also bought, I think it's through Remind or something. So I have a lot of these contacts. I would have an email or a phone number. I actually would have to look at my list and say, hey, do I have this person's phone number or email? I like to be first go around a little less in their face. I don't want to be the pushy realtor, because I think a lot of times people are using my Corfac postcard because they've lived there for 4 years and they want to go, ooh, I bought for 400 and now I could sell for 750. And I don't want to be, on the phone calling them, feeling like I'm harassing them. That's kind of just my style. What my goal is, to be honest with you, is through the Noli Williams to actually write and publish the book, and then have books, and then go over and deliver a book about selling their home. So kind of make it, and then get to the point maybe where I'm also doing market analysis. I just don't like to do a bunch of market analysis and work for people who really aren't really thinking about selling right then. I think it's all about timing too with marketing. Sometimes somebody might have gotten their very first letter from David or David or myself in the mail, and then they call you because it just happens to be right when they were saying, oh, we're thinking about selling, and they get your postcard or mailer. So sometimes it's just about being the perfect time.
It is. And I think the reason I ask about that note card is because it is personalized. And most people, when they get something in the mail, like from a Corfax system, which is just showing, what the valuation is of their home, they're just looky-loos, right? And so Jennifer's saying, look, I'm not going to jump down their throat and say, hey, sell, buy, do this, do that, or whatever. It's kind of less threatening, so to speak, that she's taking the time. But what she's doing is, it's actually brilliant. You're sending out to somebody that's most likely interested. In other words, they took the time to just look at the value of their home. You're just sending a nice little card saying, hey, I noticed you took the time, I'm here if you have any questions or whatever that message is going to be. But it's non-threatening. It's not jumping down their throat. It's just staying top of mind. So I love that you put that together. Melissa's asking a quick question about Corfac. Do you just select them on Corfac, or do you have marketing help you create like your own version of a postcard?
Right. So there's two different ways to do it. There is a Corfac program where you pay an upfront fee. I think it's $199. I pay at the beginning of the year, and they design basically a template. So they all look the same. They all have the same photo and the same information, and they stay consistent. And then the information on the postcard changes. And then I use those along with, if a month comes up. So basically what happens is I get an email 7 days before saying, hey, your next mailer is about to come out. I can preview it. And sometimes I look at it and go, oh, you know what? I don't want to send that. I have one active and one pending. So I'm going to go in and change it to an active and pending postcard, because I think what shows you as kind of the neighborhood expert more than any kind of mailer or information is if you have a listing in there, send out an active, send out a pending, send out a sold, and then of course I use a lot of postcards that have comps, because everybody wants to know what has sold in the neighborhood and for how much. So I think that those are more effective, kind of like David and David were saying, something of value versus just throwing out something cute. Something cute's fun to throw in there, but something of value is more important.
And sorry to do this. I mean, we're picking your brain because you have great answers here. So I'm a new realtor. I don't have that kind of money. I asked a question on the chat, who actually has a marketing budget? And one of the key things I've been stressing to everybody in the company is, I don't care if it's $50 a month. Please take some time and schedule and make a marketing budget for your business, because if you don't have that, there's no way a business would thrive without a marketing budget. So even if it's $50 a month, okay? But I'm a new agent, Jennifer. I'm sure you didn't start off with, $500-600 a month. I'm sure you started a little bit smaller. Maybe your farm was a little bit smaller, but talk to us a little bit about, obviously, the return. You said $500 a month, so you're spending $6,000 a year just on mailers. That doesn't include all the other stuff she's doing for marketing, which we have no idea what else that could be. But $6,000 a year, how many listings do you have right now in Greer, active or pending or whatever?
Right now I have one active and 2 pending.
There you go. So $6,000 a year just on the mailers, but guess what? All those listings are in Greer Ranch. So it's working. It just takes time. It is a consistency thing. But talk to us a little bit about, your fears when you said, oh my gosh, I really have to start spending $300-400 a month. I mean, I don't know where you started. So just tell us a little bit about that experience, please.
Yeah. When I started, I think I started with about half a greer. I was very particular. I worked with title to say, okay, who's lived in their house more than 5 years? Well, let's tackle the ones that are over X size, and trying to get nitty gritty so that I could take out a lot of the fluff and the people who were less likely to sell. And then I was actually doing exactly what they talked about, which is the bulk mail. I would stuff envelopes, and to be honest, it's been so long, I don't even remember what I put in there. I'm sure similar things to David and David. And put them in the envelope and sent them off. But I think the problem for me with that is I wasn't doing it consistently, and I don't ever remember getting any phone calls or things from it because I wasn't doing it once a month, but probably because I wasn't willing to, stuff the amount of envelopes and go down to the post office and do all of that because it's a time thing. And to me, time is money. So the postcards, you can definitely do a smaller amount, then they're more costly per, but I would say start with a farm of $200, and you have to, when you get paid. To me, I always learn 10% of your paycheck goes back into marketing. And even if you're not spending that in a month, then put it aside, just like you do your grocery money, whatever you're using your paycheck for. And that's strictly for marketing, because you have to remember, we have our own business. It's not a job where you just collect a paycheck. And if you think about any restaurant that you go to, any movie theater, any person that you hire for pest control or painting, it's because of their advertising and their marketing. You have to be, I think with the Noli Williams, which David and I have done, is the goal with a realtor, your one main goal is to become famous. You have to become famous, and you have to figure out how to do that. And I think that was great advice from Noli, is always thinking, what do famous people do? How do I become famous? And so getting marketing pieces out there and putting money back into your business is really important.
The great point that you brought up there about becoming famous. I was actually watching that movie Philadelphia. I'd never actually seen it last week, I guess it was, with my wife. And so Denzel Washington's in there, right? And whenever people see him, they're always like, oh yeah, you're the TV guy. You're the TV. He always had his card with him, and he was always handing out his card. And they're like, you're the TV guy. And I thought to myself, like, that's what we want to do also as agents, is you want to be whoever. Mr. Murrieta, Stefan is Mr. Murrieta. And so for those who know him as such, that's who he is, right? So whatever your brand is, whatever you're trying to promote for yourself, again, become famous. Because when you become famous, people are going to know who you are, and they're going to work with you. That's going to help you grow. But that comes from being consistent, right? No one got famous. Most people don't get famous overnight and stay famous, right?
Yeah. And just another side note, as far as the becoming famous, my face and my information's plastered on the back of my car. And trust me, not because I want it to be. I at times hate it when I think about cutting someone off on, Rancho California. And I'm like, oh shit, they're probably going to call me, and I have gotten one call from that, by the way. But I do it because when I am driving around Murrieta in particular, and I'm driving in Greer Ranch, sometimes I'll actually go up and down streets. I don't just go exit to exit. I won't just go the shortest route, because I don't know who's out and about, who is driving. Like, oh, there's that Jennifer girl that we get those postcards from. And, and then they're walking and they see my listing signs. And so that's why that is on there, is because I'm trying to be noticed. And if I was in my car with nothing on it, nobody knows I'm there. Nobody knows who I am. So.
Absolutely. Great points that you're sharing with us. Thank you so much. Again, Jennifer's been doing this she said 4 years now. She's seeing the fruit. I mean, just think of Greer Ranch prices, think of 3 or 4 listings this year, and think about the cost that she's spending in marketing. Well paid for, right? Well paid for. I mean, really all you need is, especially in this market, is it's one listing for the year, and it's covered all your marketing costs times however many.
And that's right? 3 or 4 listings this month.
Right? For sure. All right.
Everybody that's not here today, you guys all missed out on donuts. Oh man.
I'm coming next door.
Yeah, I hear Paul bringing us donuts. Awesome. I want to talk to us about one more thing in regards to our farms that I want to encourage you. And this is where I found the most success, in my farm. And one of the agents in the office actually asked me this last week. And so because one agent asked, whenever someone asks me something, I always tell me that there's probably another agent out there who's thinking the same thing. And so I want to make sure that we're providing training that's going to help you with the things that you're actively thinking about in your business. And that was a community event. It says, how do you do a community event? And just a little bit about how I got started was simply a community garage sale. Had no idea what we were doing. We literally just kind of just walked out there and through some coaching from some others, we made this work. And we're consistently, apart from last year's COVID, we were consistently doing community yard sale events. And I can't, from the first community yard sale events, I think we got 3 transactions for that event. And that event cost, or all in all, it probably cost me about, I didn't write the numbers down, this was years ago now, but I went back to look at what it cost to do it now, and it probably cost me about $250. All right. So it paid for itself. So I want to talk to you a little bit about a community event. Talk to me or tell me what can be a community event in your neighborhood. But I don't want to have all the answers. I want to hear from you as well. What do you recommend?
Garage sale.
Garage sale, okay. What else we got? What else can we do?
Well, obviously garage sale would be like declutter, time to declutter, right? Make some money. Everybody has pets and everybody loves their pets.
Pet costumes.
Would you say, Jennifer?
Like I heard someone saying that they were going to do like a pet photo shoot for like best costume. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so up so many people's alleys that are, especially with little dogs and coming down and then you have your photographer come and take pictures and do like a contest or something. I don't know. I thought it was a cute idea.
Great idea. It's building community. You're building relationships. You're doing things that are fun. It's not always about just come give me business. This is about giving back as well. What else can we do for a community? Maybe we've got some things that marketing is actually helping us with. What else can we do? Felipe said we can do a food drive, right? That's another one that we can do. How many of us have maybe ever thought of doing a community party? Like you get the bounce house out there, you bring in maybe a food truck that comes in and you bring the community together for that. Sound like a good idea, right? So there's a lot of different things that you can do where now you can become that celebrity in the community as you continue to give back. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what we've done and where we have found success. And I wrote it down. It's actually here. I'm gonna put it on the screen for you guys. All right. Steps that are needed or taken to make this actually happen. All right. I'm just going to scroll down here. So you'll see right here, this is the 3rd annual Portraits Community Yard Sale event. This is what the first one said, first ever. When I first started, people simply reach out to me. There's a couple ways that you can have people I've had it where the lender and I had a system that they texted to, and then it just collected all the data. You can have them reach out specifically to you, but you're going to have to build a list of people that are going to participate in this event. So these are just a couple of examples of some flyers that we've made. That was a single page flyer. This is the flyer. We can have a 2-on-1 page, so we can actually cut that in half so it's less cost for as far as marketing. But we created this community yard sale prep list. All right. And this is what we've used. And we'll just go over it with you. Whenever you're doing this, you want people to know about it. So you're going to invest in some banners, 3x6 banners. I put the cost for that. They're anywhere from between 25 to like $80 for one. Super cheap. You can get, like I said, for $50, you can get the 2 that you need. You put those at the front of the community. You start advertising there. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Street signs. People have the little cardboards that they do, and those fall down. You don't always necessarily see them. Most of us agents, we've got open house signs. We took our open house signs and we simply converted them by just putting over that arrow, the open house, it said garage sale. You can print those off and put that there. And then you can direct people to where it is. When you've got all these signs in the street, you've got these big banners, it's going to drive traffic, because if someone does a garage sale, they need people to stop by, right? You do a garage sale and 2 or 3 people came by, it's like, was it really worth it, right? But by doing a community yard sale, now you're bringing multiple homes together. The community knows about it. It's going to drive traffic. I've literally, and this is by no exaggeration, lady told me, I don't remember the exact number. It was 1,000. I remember it was 1,000 that she made. At least $1,000 or $2,000 she made at her garage sale that we helped put on. So whenever you can do that, others have made hundreds, but I remember she was like, I made like over $1,000. I was like, what? Like, no way. So she was ecstatic, of course, right? So this is where we're able to give back to the community. Another thing that you're going to want to do is you need an easy up. You're going to set up a little stand there, and that's going to have information there. You'll need a table. You'll need a chair. We have a tablecloth that we put over it as well. Bring yourself some drinks. A flyer stand. In that flyer stand, you put maps so that they know where they are, the actual homes are located. Because when someone comes into a community for a community yard sale, maybe they're not familiar with that community. So where I'm standing in this easy up, at the beginning of the community, I'm handing them a flyer that has little pins on there from Google Map of all the homes that are participating, because now they can see on the map where to go. Because I don't know who's participating. I don't know this community. And then on there, of course, you'll have some branding, right? Your name and your phone number and your face, maybe whatever it is. So that if they have any real estate questions, call you. This is the way you can get something in their hand that's useful for them, but also brands them to use it that they can call you should they have any questions regarding real estate. So you put that in your hand as well. Sometimes we do giveaways. You want to have your business cards with you. Be professional. Put your name badge on. Partner with a lender. The reason why I partner with a lender is because before COVID, and we're getting back to some semblance of normalcy, we would have coffee and donuts in the morning. So for everyone that participated in the community, we would go by and say hello, hand them a little thank you note. If we had that, I think before we were doing little calendars, I've adjusted it. We've done handwritten thank you notes afterwards, but we go by and we say hello. And we've got coffee and donuts in the back of their truck. And so the kids come get the donuts and the adults get a coffee. And it's a way to say just hello. All right. And got a listing right now because, again, of this community yard sale and meeting our neighbors. So they do work. The lender covers the cost for the coffee and the donuts. So now it's not out of pocket for you. They want business as well. So whoever your lender partner is, they're always calling you for business, right? Hey, can you call me? You got any buyers? Got any buyers, right? You got anything you can help me with? Say, hey, can you help me, right? Go ahead and make that phone call. They'll be more than willing to come out and spend a Saturday or a Sunday morning with you. The cool thing about the garage sales is that they start early and they end early, all right? People like to start at like as early as 7 o'clock in the morning. And the shoppers are there and you can set up for a couple of hours. By noon at the latest, you're done. You've got the rest of the day to do whatever you're going to do. I think it's kind of easier than an open house and you see more people, right? And it's very positive. So I've got just a steps right here that I put together for us to actually make this event happen. Because what we have found is you don't want to announce too early and you don't want to announce it too late. You want people to remember. So 3 weeks prior to an event, you have to either door knock that community or send flyers out. Now, in the past, I've door knocked it. That's how I've met a lot of people as well. But you can choose to have one of the neighborhood kids, pay them $20 and say, hey, guys, will you go put all these flyers on the doors? They'll love it. Then the neighbors will like it because you paid their kid to do something. They got outside and they're not, hounding them for whatever it is that they're asking their parents for. All right. So that goes out as well. On that flyer, just tells them to text you or call you or email you if they're going to participate. That's 3 weeks prior. You have to remind people because they forget. A lot of things are happening in all of our lives. And so the week prior to, so 3 weeks prior, you first start. The week prior to, you send out another flyer. Okay? This reminds them again, it's happening this coming weekend. Let me know if you're participating or not. All right? That right there, you're definitely not doing any door knocking again. You can simply hire, if you have kids, your kids, but if you don't have any kids like me, then hire a neighbor kid and say, hey, man, go put these on the doors and they'll get it done for you. All right. Thursday or Friday prior to, you're going to put the banners in the front of your community. If you got an HOA or anything like that, make sure that's okay or the city doesn't take it down. I haven't lost any banners. We've done 4 different communities. Haven't lost any banners yet. Not going to, but make sure you have those conversations with the city or the HOA. All right. Then you're going to want to post on social media. There's Craigslist, and it's actually right here. You can see it on the screen. It's GSALR. I'm going to highlight the whole screen. That's like the garagesale.com little website, and that promotes it as well. And so again, people need to know this is happening. So it's not just the signs in the ground. It's on social media. Craigslist is great. You should definitely be promoting it on Craigslist. That is happening. That's the Thursday or Friday before. Make your map the Friday before of who's participating, because by that point you should know. You put it all together. If you need help with that, let us know. Let marketing know. They can put these things together for you. That's what they're here for. And then the morning of, you want to get out early. Put all those signs that you have out in the street so people know it when they come by. Again, of course, after that, you're gonna stop by with your coffee and donuts, throw your easy up, and you're ready to rock and roll. After you said hello to everybody, and if you're not having a garage sale, like literally, you can like go home. Like the first time I did it, we had a garage sale, so of course I participated the whole time. But you don't have to stay there the whole time. You can put your easy up and all your information right there. Mine just says maps and info right there. So people drive by and they can just grab it and off they go. So you don't have to sit outside the entire time evening. And then of course, at the end of it, what I like to do is everyone who participated in the garage sale, I send them a personal, like Jennifer does, a personal handwritten note. Just saying, thank you so much for participating. I hope you had great success for whatever I put in there during the garage sale. If there's anything else we can do to help you and your family, let us know. Whatever, boom, slap your business card in there. Off it goes. It's a personal touch. They've got your business card. You said hello in the morning. They've got a face to a name. You can be the realtor of choice now because you reached out again to the community. So again, because I was asked about a community garage sale, I wanted to make sure that we talked a little bit about that today as we're talking about a farm, because you're going to do this in the space where you are farming. Now they're getting monthly mailers. You're giving out maybe the cute pet what do we call it?
The photo.
The pet costume photo. We've got that. We've got a community block party, so to speak. All these things are building community. It's making you as the relevant professional who gives back to the community. That's where you're going to generate business, right? Go ahead.
You guys talk about like ice cream on summers, movie nights. Movie nights for the kids, safe Halloween trunk or treat events, trick or treating events. It takes a little bit more legwork, but some communities don't have HOA. And one thing that I found successful is just starting a community watch, getting out a letter or flyer out to everybody in your neighborhood, just saying, hey, who's interested? Blah blah blah. A lot of people definitely are interested in that because they want to make sure that they keep their community safe, and they're not all gated. They're not all with HOA. So sometimes those are things that you want to start on your own, other ideas.
Absolutely. There's a ton of ideas out there. So as Felipe has already shared several others, pick one, try it out, run with it and see where it gets you. If you do it consistently, I can guarantee you it's going to work. Consistency is key, right, David?
That's right.
That's where he's found success, is continually going after it. The last thing I'm going to talk about before we leave is when you do your farm. So you should get something that looks like this, maybe, from title. And on this list is the owners and absentee owners of people in your farm. If you need to go through this list and know who's absentee and who is owner occupied. Because if you're not reaching out to those absentees, they're not getting anything. Those are your renters, okay? You want them to buy homes. Right? And if you only go by what title sends you, you'll only have, again, the name and address for where the owner of the absentee lives. So they may be in
LA.
Let's see, LA, wherever the heck it may be. We've got all over the place, whatever. Texas, Dallas, Texas, literally. There's someone in my neighborhood. There's one person in my community that owns 6 houses, absentee. 6 homes in my community are owned by one person. Right? So you want to know that because those homes you still want to reach out to. So have those addresses, and then that's the time for you to go and personally meet those people like David would do. Knock on that door, introduce yourself. Have you considered purchasing this home or something similar to it? All right. So make sure that's one thing that you double check when you start your farm is who's getting it. Not just as what that list says, because that list is not going to encompass everyone who lives there because there are absentee occupied dwellings.
So and I'm just coming over here to the microphone.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if you covered this. I stepped out and got on a phone call, but let's talk about kind of a time frame, right? Because there's 12 months in the year. So it's safe to say that we're not talking about doing community events every month. I hope you guys understand that, right? So the game plan should be you're doing some sort of farming, whether that's a mailing system every single month. That's the branding. Right? I would say every 4 to 6 months. So basically twice a year, you want to have a larger style community event. So does that help you guys out there? I mean, does that make more sense? Because sometimes just kind of getting a game plan, because I'm hearing this is all great information, but you know, if we're new, it's like, okay, I don't have a ton of money, so how could I do this? Well, if I budget myself, like Jennifer was saying, and I say, okay, I'm going to send out at least one piece of item in the mail every single month, whether that's going to be through Corfact, a little sweat equity of me putting something together, stuffing those envelopes, but consistency is key, right? So we talked about that. So once a month. Now, I would say go as far as pre-planning twice a year at most, every 4 to 6 months, a big community event,
Absolutely.
right? So that big garage sale to declutter after the holidays, an e-shredding event, or what, not e-shredding, but an e-recycle, right? For people that want to recycle stuff. But know your audience too, right? You got to know your community. So I would say twice a year. And then when you're doing the mailers, you're going to have your, like David mentioned already, you know, this month it's going to be about branding and, you know, the value of the community. Next month, it's going to be asking that question, price versus. So, I mean, you got to mix up the message. But I mean, I just hope you guys understand, you don't want to have a community event every single month or every other month. And then you're going to freak out. You're going to say, how am I going to get any business done? This is crazy. I'm just planning parties and DJ events and stuff like that. So I'd say twice a year would be good.
That's all you need. Really, you can do something in the spring, do something in the fall,
Yeah.
and you're done. You know, typically we do our community garage sale. It's in the spring. Typically, it's right there in the first week of April, right around that time. It's just that's the time the community knows that it's going to happen. We rock and roll, off we go. All right. It's crazy that you brought up twice a year, because the first time we did it, my community literally said, we've got to do this again this year. And I was like, oh, no way.
Yeah.
But no, it does work. Again, it keeps you top of mind. Any
And a
questions?
comment from that?
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
I had a comment on that, and you kind of were just mentioning it maybe really important. At least one of those events, it be consistent, meaning if you're going to do a grow month, because people look forward to it and you can see too your success and how it grows. I know Maria and I used to go to core training with Cross Country Mortgage with Toby Love. She's a big time lender. Every year, like the first Saturday in December or something, she rents out the movie theater in Temecula, and the kids come and watch Polar Express, and she has donuts and coffee, and she has giveaways that she does, and every single year, I mean, she's been doing it for like 6 or 7 years, and every year it grows, and they need more theaters. And so I think people do look forward to the same things, rather than, and at the beginning, I understand you might have to try out different things, see what works, see what you like. But I know 2 years ago, I did a party for my sphere and my past clients. And then last year I couldn't do it because of COVID. And now I'm going, oh crap, that was November and that's coming up. What am I going to do? So just recommendation or thought.
Absolutely. The consistency is the key. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Just so that you all know, Felipe and I talked about this. I'm just a tad bit behind. We will be having a calendar for you. I hope to have it finished this week, beginning of next week, for the monthly training. So you'll know, back before COVID threw everything off, we're getting back on track, so that you'll know what trainings are coming up for that month. So please be on the lookout for that. And then, of course, you'll still get the emails and all of that. But again, we'll have the monthly trainings all planned out, so that way you can make sure you can write those into your calendars for those that are going to best serve you and your business. All right. Excellent. That's all we got for today. It's 11:58. We're right on time. So wish you guys the rest of the best of the week. A great weekend. If you're hosting open houses, go out there and crush it. Whatever you're doing, continue to shine like the bright stars that you are. All right.
Thank you.